Hi, my name is Lorenzo and I'm going to take you on a tour of Mission Santa Barbara. Mission Santa Barbara was founded on December 4th in 1786 by Father Fermin Francisco de las Fuentes. Mission Santa Barbara is the 10th of the 21 missions of California. It is located in the city of Santa Barbara and is named after the saint of Santa Barbara, a martyred church figure of the 3rd century. Its nickname is the Queen of the Missions because of its beauty. Let's take a look inside. Santa Barbara Mission, founded December 4th, 1786. Present church completed in 1820. Destroyed by an earthquake in 1925. Restored in 1927 and 1953. The mission was purposely located on a hill near the Pacific Ocean so that it was easy for the ships to see when they were traveling from as far as Spain. They also chose this location because it had good soil. The purpose was to keep the land that Spain had already claimed and to teach the Chumash Indians about the Catholic faith. Some interesting facts about the bell towers is that this is the only mission that has twin bell towers. The bells rang to tell the Chumash Indians when to wake up, pray, work, and eat. It is the only mission that has been ran by Franciscans since its inception. At the farm, they planted oat, wheat, and corn. The animals were cattle, sheep, pigs, mules, and horses. There were about 5,000 cattle and 11,000 sheep. The Chumash made pozole and tortillas out of crops they grew. The water basin or lavanderia was built in 1818. The Chumash washed and soaked their clothes in this water basin. The sculpture was handcrafted by the Chumash Indians. The fountain was used for giving water to the water basin for the Indians to have access for the water of everyday use. Friars were priests that taught Indian children religious studies, music, and the Spanish language. When they were not with the children, they were taking care of the sick and the elderly, as well as praying. The friars still live at the mission today. The inner quadrangle at Mission Santa Barbara. The inner quadrangle is the oldest one here at the mission and has had many names over the years. It's been called the Padres Garden, the Patio Garden, the Monk's Garden, and more recently, the Sacred Garden. The quadrangle throughout the years has reflected the Franciscan values of community life and their reverence for creation as a reflection of God. Community life is an important value for the Franciscans, and in the missions era, this quadrangle was the space for communal gathering. It was also a workspace for the Chumash and the residents at the mission. In this area, girls spun wool and prepared it for weaving on looms. Carpenters, saddlers, shoemakers, and others also worked in this quadrangle. Documentary and archaeological evidence indicated that an Honoro clay oven was located here in the 18th and 19th centuries. Some of the plants that were grown here were used to make medicine, food, and crafting. There were orchards with fruit trees here, an English-style garden, and a vegetable garden. The mission had 4 churches. The mission has been rebuilt and restored twice due to major earthquakes that hit in 1812 and one in 1925. The church was used to teach Chumash all about the Catholic religion. After 20 years, the church is still home to an active parish as well as a working community of working Franciscan friars. This is where they sat down and ate, and here, this is where they cooked. The Chumash people were originally hunter-gatherers. They hunted animals, fished, and gathered native plants, fruits, nuts, and seeds, and roots according to the plant's natural seasons. Acorns were the most important food in the Chumash diet. The cemetery was built in 1789. Over 4,000 Chumash were buried in this cemetery. Some also had tombs. This mausoleum illustrates changes in burial practices at Mission Santa Barbara that reflected cultural shifts occurring in the mission community. These cultural shifts would change the face of the cemetery landscape as well as the mission itself. As the number of Mexican friars in California declined, friars from the Midwestern states, many originally from Germany, began arriving in California in the 1880s. The sanctuary of the church was where the first California bishop was buried. An interesting fact about the cemetery is that Mission Santa Barbara housed the first California bishop, Francisco Garcia Diego y Moreno. The Chumash people have lived in the area now known as Santa Barbara for this thousands of years. During much of this time, all plants were native to the religion. However, in the 1700s and 1800s, the Spanish introduced hundreds of new plants to the region. Justo and his wife Cecilia, the last Chumash living at the mission, are seen here among the ruins of the pueblo. In 1803, the mission had reached its highest Chumash population at 1,792. Justo was a woodcutter as well as the last chief photographer. The trade area used as a work area for the Chumash Indians. They learned about 50 different trades. The buildings around the garden were workshops. Some of the trades were weaving, shoemaking, carpentry, farming, blacksmithing, pottery, woodcraft, and soap making. And that's all about Mission Santa Barbara.